Welcome back to the Pulse, and let's now speak with Dr. Clement Apak, who is Deputy Ranking Member on the Education Committee. They've been demanding for explanation on why the e-blocks have not been completed. Dr. Apak, I'm grateful for your time. All right, we may be having challenges with Dr. Apak's connection. We'll try and get him on, but Kofi Asare is with Africa Education Watch. He's also joined us for this conversation. Kofi Asare, I'm grateful for your time this afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, and good afternoon to your cherished audience.
I'm sure you've been monitoring responses from the president on calls for him to complete e-blocks that were not were initiated by the Mahama-led government. How urgent or otherwise are the completion of these e-blocks as far as improvement of the country's education system is concerned?
Well, I think in the short term, some strategically located e-blocks are critical in trying to reduce congestion in existing senior high schools, and if you like, and then a double track. And that is why government initially completed about 20 or so of the blocks to ease down the pressure on existing senior high schools. I think we've gotten to a point where government is implementing a strategy that favors the mixed school approach to secondary education, where government is expanding access to secondary education by expanding existing schools, boarding schools, and day schools. This is running vis-a-vis NDC's philosophy of expanding senior high schools the day school way or the community day school way. So there's the clash of these two strategies to obviously always create the situation where it will appear as if government is abandoning some projects and starting new ones. But in reality, it is actually a difference in strategy which shouldn't have occurred. But we have a difference in strategy. So government believes that it should expand secondary education through expanding existing secondary schools, most of which are boarding schools. If you want to go by that strategy, it means that given that we are implementing a 30% day, 70% boarding secondary education strategy, it means that the completion of day-only secondary schools will only mean or will only be important to the level of 30% to government agenda, because government is pursuing a course where schools being expanded are 70 boarding, 30 day. That is the situation we have on our hands. But I think that, having said that, there are some communities that, in view of the population in those communities like Aflao, it will serve a useful purpose to expand access to secondary education at a much lower cost if the community day secondary school there is completed. So that students from that community will not have to go into boarding schools in other parts of the water region or other parts of Ghana for government to pay over 2,000 Ghana cedis a year in feeding and other expenses because they are boarders. Rather, it will be cheaper because as they are day students, government will be paying less than half of that money as day students' fees under the free senior high school. So the balance between the two conflicting approaches in expanding secondary education is what we need to manage.
Apak has joined again. He's Deputy Ranking Member on the Education Committee. Doc, I'm grateful for your time. You are demanding for explanation on why the e-blocks have not been completed and a detailed account of the use of the $1.5 billion approved for the completion of the critical education projects across the country. Does the President's explanations address your concerns?
Well, first of all, let me say good afternoon to you and viewers and listeners. My voice is a bit sore, but I will do my best. If you want my simple answer, I don't think that the President's explanation is sufficient for various reasons. The President and his government have tended to brush aside the demands that citizens who are supposed to be beneficiaries of these projects have been making since the exit of the NDC. I believe it's as a result of the calls and complaints that we have been receiving that we decided as a minority on the Education Committee to embark on a tour to see for ourselves and to assess the state of some of these e-blocks. We have looked at 6, and out of the 6, 3 have been abandoned. And we are told that since the NDC left office, work came to a halt and no contractor has shown up. The other 3 are at various stages of completion. We saw one that is about 40% complete. We saw one that is about 80% complete. We've seen one that is 90% complete. And in fact, in one instance, it is even 100% complete. And yet it has not been put to good use. So we would want government to account to us the number of e-blocks completed, where they are located, and whether or not they have been put to use. And if they have not been put to use, we want to know why.
Now, so what does the minority intend to do to compel government to do, especially now that Parliament is preparing to resume? Because the president has given you a response to what you are asking him to do.
Well, I didn't hear the president's response, but if it is what I read regarding his rather insensitive response to the legitimate request made by Togbe Fiti, then it is most unfortunate. That is not the kind of response that you expect from a president, the person who holds our resources in trust, the person we expect to use our resources for our collective benefit. When the president says that they have not abandoned the e-blocks, it is clear that he's being misinformed or he does not have the data. I just told you, and I can share the videos, that we visited 6 e-blocks in the Volta region, Greater Accra, and Eastern region. Out of the 6, 3 of them have been abandoned. One is 40% complete, one is 90% complete, one is fully complete and has not been put to good use. So when the president tells us that they are working on completing these projects and they have not been abandoned, then it clearly shows that he is out of touch with the reality on the ground. And that is why in Parliament, we intend to file questions, and we even intend to file a motion to ask government to account to us regarding the quantum from the 1.5 billion US dollars for the critical educational infrastructure, which has been applied towards the completion of e-blocks and other critical educational infrastructure. So we have come to the conclusion that the Akufo-Addo Bawumia-led government is insincere. They have tended to be insensitive, dismiss, and even insult citizens for asking them to account and to do the needful. And the only cause that we can resort to is to use every legitimate tool available to us as law-abiding citizens and a responsible opposition to seek and get the needed answers and to get value for money for the use of resources expended on our behalf.
All right, Dr. Clement Park there. All right, thankfully, Aflao Gomashi is on. We've lost Okujeto Ablakwa there. Honorable Gomashi, I'm grateful for your time. I want to pick your thought or gauge your mood on how you feel, because you're also from that part where the paramount chief asked the president to complete the e-blocks. This is the response he got from the president. How do you react to his response?
Hello, Aisha.
Yes.
You should transcribe how my name is pronounced so you can get it right. I'll find you for mispronouncing my name.
Please forgive me.
Listen, Aisha, I don't know what happened to His Excellency the President on that interview. I don't know what happened to him. I do not know what happened to President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo in that studio with my young brother. I am the one who took the MPs to Togi Ajungaga, Amanyafiti. I took them to him to greet my chief. Togi has been sitting in that school over 20 years. Togi was chief when President Rawlings was president. Togi was chief when President Kufuor. Togi was chief when President Nose came. Togi was chief when President Mahama came. He is chief still. Now that person, another that called the president. That job we just gave for paramount chief of the Aflao traditional area is unacceptable, and I demand that the president goes to listen to what Toby said exactly and render an apology to my chief. Toby did not say that he was ordering President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Toby said that the NDC started the work. The NDC came to continue. It's a 90% team. What is left is not enough. Why is his people not benefiting from his 3 project? This was what Toby asked. How does he, Mr. Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo now, give him that kind of job and tell him that if we're in the hell, we should go and compete? How much of this country's resources are given to us? The person said that apart from support, the other entry point that gives us the highest will be Aflao. How much of the money is given to public? When the budget is right and the money is set down for put aside for education, how much of it is given to public? When that time is being designed, is it given to public? I am so hurt, answer, because as a custodian of our culture and heritage, public should not be spoken to the way our president said. In the same way, I will not support or I will not be disrespectfully towards him. Then, as he said in the Jojo, one can you cry, Mr. President? One can you cry? The way you spoke to the chief is unacceptable. It's marks of intolerance. It's marks of not digesting what the man said. Can we just ask a simple question? I use Toby as reference about e-block metadata. Your response should have been, perhaps, that I'll take a look at it and see what concerns the chief has to what to address. You see, Toby said he was challenging the minister to ensure that the remaining 10% is done so that academic year, so that the staff can benefit from that facility. What is wrong with that? What is wrong with that? Why should the president speak to my paramount chief the way he did? How many paramount chiefs can his excellency the president speak like that? How many of them? How many of the chiefs in this country? How many chiefs in this country can his excellency the president speak like that? I am so happy. It's not to me funny. But perhaps it is not the president's place to make me happy.
As a member of parliament, you have the power to demand that the Ministry of Education and government, make sure these projects are completed, especially because monies have been approved. What do you intend to do? I know you are coming back in a week's time.
Now, one of the things that I could do was to get the Committee on Education in my purpose to come and look at it so that together we can draw the country's attention, not only to the one that is happening in Katu South, but the whole country across the country, the whole educational system across the country. Who in this country that will not accept that we have a problem with accommodation for our students? Who in this country doesn't know that? This is not rocket science. And it's that effort that was being addressed by President John Dramani Mahama. So if we are continuing and we are reminding you that in some of the instances, what is left is not come and get it done so that the people of Ghana can benefit and you don't judge. Now you're asking what I'm going to do? If His Excellency the President, hearing that my paramount chief has commented on this and you throw that down to him, what is he going to do to me? I'm just a fly. But since you asked, Aisha, this is not going to end. The caucus came here. I took them to Subject City because he's as concerned as I am. We will file a question in Parliament. We will demand that the schools that are 90%, 95%, 60%, each stage that we left it at, it should be done. It should be done because if we use 4 years to be able to put it at different stages of completion, and we have more years than I got in as a minister. Remember, I said that Dramani Mahama as Deputy Minister for Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts, I had do his work. There's absolutely nothing wrong with asking that this building is put to use. As it is now, it's better than a lot of the schools in Katusau already. The state in which this one is better than every single school that I've gone to in Katusau. So we can use it. And when we demand it, we say we should go in and how we should go and complete it. Today. Now, one can you, President, one can you cry.
For your time, Jifa Goma, she is MP for Ketu South. She's been reacting to President Akufo-Addo's response to the Paramount Chief, who requested that there should be a completion of the e-blocks initiated by the Mahama-led administration.